City desk. No, this is Bill Adams. Mike isn't here yet. Oh, okay, I'll tell him when he... Oh, just a minute. Here he comes. Mike, phone.
Who is it?
Composing room.
You guys screaming for copy already? Well, don't you know a morning paper doesn't go to press until... What? Yeah. All right, I'll check. What gives? He says he wants a new makeup. He says you've cut the daily to 8 pages.
Here's the memo for Mr. Todd.
But why?
No advertising. Look at all these cancellations.
You can't sell any new ads, huh?
Some advertising manager. I'm beginning to think I couldn't sell Robinson Crusoe and running an ad for a rowboat.
Well, it's not your fault. I've seen it coming for a long time. You know, Greenwood used to be kind of a hometown, suburb of Steel City. Well, city got bigger, closed in around it. Now it's just a district of the big town. Main Street jammed with cars going in and out of the city. Sky full of planes taking off for somewhere else. People around here think of themselves as citizens of Steel City. They buy Steel City newspapers. Well, that's where advertising went, and our circulation. And any day now, the Herald.
Hi, Mr. Stacy.
Hi.
Hello, Mr. Adams.
Hi, Joey.
Want your paper?
Sure. How's business, Joey?
Swell.
Well, it ought to be. Selling the Herald in the morning and the Steel City News at noon.
He forgot knives. That's when I deliver the Steel City Star.
Beat it, trader.
See you Sunday morning, Joey.
Okay, Mr. Adams.
What are you going to do then? Help him find another job? You know, you and I are going to be looking for one, too.
Well, not me, Mike. I guess I'll hang around as long as the Herald lasts.
What for?
Oh, it's in my blood, I guess. You know I've been here ever since I was a copy boy.
It goes a long ways back, doesn't it? When Todd was a crusading editor.
Yeah. He used to fight for all kinds of social and moral issues. I remember how they even shot at him once, but that didn't stop him from fighting the gamblers.
And now Greenwood has got a racetrack.
And as you said, it isn't a hometown anymore. It's lost its local pride. You know, Mike, I think that local pride could be brought back if Mr. Todd had started fighting for things again.
Well, he was a great newspaper man. One of the greatest. Of course, that was 25 years ago. Now he's just a tired old man.
Well, what this paper needs is young blood.
Meaning who? You?
Well, I might fall flat on my face, but I'd sure... Oh, hello, Mr. Todd.
I'd like to see you in my office, Bill.
Yes, sir. Right away, Chief.
Relax. The paper's going to fold anyway.
Sit down, Bill. Tell me, just what would you do if you had a chance to run this paper?
Well, I guess I was talking out of turn, Mr. Todd.
Now, I want to know. Tell me.
Well, I think I'd try to run the paper the way you used to.
The way I used to. Yes, I guess I am just a tired old man. You know, I've always dreamed of taking a long trip, Bill. Today I got to thinking. The kids are grown. Nothing to hold me here but the paper. The Herald was my first paper, Bill, and my first love. That's why I've held on to it up to now. Just couldn't bring myself into selling it. But if I don't quit now, I'll never make that trip.
Would you really sell the paper?
I might. I've known you for a long time, Bill. I know what you call right, what you call wrong. I know a lot about you. Would you really like to run this paper?
Manage it?
Run it as your own. There's still 2 years left on the lease. I'll give you the use of the equipment while I'm on my trip. You'll sink or swim entirely on your own.
Oh, that's quite an offer.
Perhaps you can build the Herald into a real influence for good in this community, Bill. Only God knows how much we need it. If you can't, I can still sell the equipment when I get back. So what do you say?
That's a big decision.
Want to talk it over with your wife?
Well, I know what Margaret would say. She'd say do it. And thank you for the chance.
Don't thank me yet, son. You may be heading into a whole mess of trouble. And speaking of messes, take a look at this desk. I'll clean it out so you can use it. There's nothing of value except these 2 books. You know, Bill, I've always said when you're dealing with the fortunes and misfortunes of people every day of the year, an editor ought to run his paper with a dictionary in one hand and a Bible in the other. That's what you'll be doing, son, running a paper.
Well, hi.
Gonna be working all night, honey? I decided to bring you some coffee.
Oh, I thought you were going home to bed.
I couldn't sleep if I did.
Well, why not?
I guess my conscience is bothering me.
What, you?
I crumpled a fender on the car today. Oh, but it wasn't my fault. It's getting so a person takes her life in her hands to drive down that main street. And it isn't all women drivers, either. It happened at that intersection at 4th and Main where Jimmy Watson was killed.
Yeah, I know. Well, don't worry about a crumpled fender. I have more important things than that to think about. Do you realize what I took on today?
Do I? I've been as excited as a child ever since you called this afternoon. And don't you worry about a thing, my pet. You're going to become the best editor this town ever had. Do you want me to do anything for you?
Yes, you can tell me where to get $5,000 operating expenses, because I certainly don't want to mortgage our house.
Well, of course you'll mortgage the house if you need to. Bill, you can't make a success of this paper unless you have faith in yourself. And you can't have that unless I have faith in you, can you? So get the mortgage. Or don't you think they'll give us $5,000 for our house?
You're terrific. I guess that's why I love you. You know, dear, what you just said about being willing to risk our home gives me an idea for what I want to do with the paper.
What do you mean?
Well, I've been dreaming around various angles trying to get a policy for the Herald. But I haven't been able to find a peg to hang things on. Mike Stacy was saying just today that Greenwood isn't a hometown anymore. Well, maybe I could make people realize that Greenwood is their home.
Women would like that. You know, there's a home angle on almost everything. Well, take the racetrack, for instance. Think of the homes that are miserable because people turn their paychecks over to the betting machines.
And you think I could fight that?
Well, why not?
Why not? You know, there's something else. You remember that horrible accident last winter when the plane fell? Well, now, why did that happen? Because the airport doesn't belong in town. It ought to be out in the country.
Oh, Bill, there are 1,000 home angles.
Better fire and police protection. More schools.
Wait. Remember that congestion on Main Street?
Yeah.
Well, I've heard you say that there's an average of an accident a week there, about 5 fatalities a year. Well, why not use that for your opening campaign?
Yeah, Margaret, but how would we start? A new highway to go around the town and end that Main Street mess. A bypass.
Wonderful.
It'll make it easier for you to get to work, too.
Me?
Well, didn't you know? You're my new secretary and assistant editor.
Oh.
Yes, I like it.
I'm glad to hear it, Mr. Mason.
Women make about 90% of the purchases in my store, and if you angle your paper toward the home, as you've been telling me, you'll have the women in the hollow of your hand.
Well, at least I hope we'll have them reading your advertising.
I'll give it a try.
Thank you, sir.
And as president of the Merchants Association, I'll tell some of our members about this new slant of yours.
Well, thanks. Of course, I'll be calling on them myself.
Won't do any harm, although I don't mind admitting that my recommendations carry quite a lot of weight.
How do you like that? 6 advertising contracts in one morning.
I gotta hand it to you, Bill. That home angle's a great gimmick.
What's a gimmick?
Oh, it's a commercial idea with a hook.
It's not just a gimmick. That's not the real reason for the home angle. That's only a springboard for the things that I want to do with the Herald.
Oh, crusading, huh?
You can call it that if you want to, but I'm going to fight for the good of Greenwood. And the next project is a traffic problem on Main Street.
I don't think the taxpayers are gonna like the idea of an expensive bypass, but it's your newspaper, Bill. But I think you ought to know, I got a commercial gimmick, too. It's my paycheck. The minute it stops, I get out of here.
Adams, I didn't know that this home angle of yours included such schemes as this. Do you realize how much your bypass dream would increase taxes?
Do you think saving money is more important than saving lives?
Don't be ridiculous. This is sure to raise the tax rate. And if your harebrained scheme went through, what would happen to all the stores like mine with no trade?
I think you've got the wrong slant, Mr. Mason. Take a look at this report out of the Traffic Engineer Monthly. Springfield put in a bypass. The store sales went up 26% during the first 3 months. The same thing with Columbus. Their trade went up 24% within 60 days after the bypass was opened. And take a look at all the other cities. Now, these charts are backed up with facts and figures.
There's one thing this chart of yours doesn't show, Adams. That's the raise in taxes. What good is it going to do if my business increases 24% and I have to pay out 30% increase in taxes to pay for your bypass?
Well, you may disagree with me, Mr. Mason, but there are others who are with me in this matter.
Yes, we were discussing that at last night's meeting of the Merchants Association.
I wish I'd been there to answer the questions.
The principal question was how much we should offer you as a salary.
Salary?
If you were working for us, we'd have to pay you, wouldn't we?
Well, what do you mean, working for you?
The Merchants Association needs a live wire man to handle its publicity. And everyone at the meeting last night agreed that you were just the man for the job.
Me?
How would you like $25,000 a year to handle our publicity? Exclusively, of course.
Exclusively? You mean I'd have to give up the Herald, is that it?
It's a lot more than you'd ever make from that paper.
And what if I refuse the offer?
Well, that's entirely up to you, of course.
What did you tell him, Bill?
I said I'd think about it over the weekend, let him know Monday.
I wish you'd told him no right away. Being the editor of a newspaper is, well, it's a great trust.
And $25,000 is a lot of money. You know, to a lot of people, $25,000 would be the chance of a lifetime. And you can't forget that even a great editor like Mr. Todd couldn't make a go of this paper. Who knows? Maybe they don't want a better city. Maybe we've mortgaged our home and spent our savings for what?
But, Bill, you know this isn't a legitimate offer. It's a bribe to make you drop the bypass idea.
Okay, so it's a bribe, and I know it as well as you do. I feel trapped. If I don't accept their offer, we lose our advertisers, and without them, we go broke and lose the paper anyhow.
Well, there must be another way. There has to be.
I don't know. Maybe. I just don't know. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Okay, fellas, now before we go, be sure to mark your records so I can turn them in at the extension department down at the church. And again, I want to welcome Don and Jimmy as the 2 newest members of our Sunday school class. And don't forget, next Sunday at 5 o'clock sharp in the morning. Has anybody seen Joey?
No.
Well, I'll give him a ring. It's It's after 6 now. You better get those papers delivered. Good morning, Mike.
Mr. Adams,
Yes, Steve.
I don't guess you'd mind if I told you something, would you?
No, Steve, what is it?
Well, you see, last Sunday, after I finished delivering the papers, well, I went up to our church and I had a talk with the pastor.
Yes.
And I remembered all the things that you told me, and I asked God what to do, and I joined the church.
Did you accept Christ as your Savior, Steve?
Yes, sir, I did. And I want to thank you for what you've done for me.
Thank you for what you've done for me, Steve. And God bless you.
Well, I better get these papers thrown.
Right.
So this is what you do on Sunday mornings, huh?
And what are you doing here?
You give these kids a Sunday school lesson every week? Why?
You looking for the gimmick? Let's just say I like to get up early on Sunday mornings. And I like to teach those kids something to make their lives a little bit brighter. And God a little more personal. You know, Mike, some of the most important men in our country started out as newsboys. Those are great kids.
All I can say is this is one for believe it or not.
Now suppose you tell me what you're doing here.
Well, Kelly, the policeman on Main Street, called me. Joey was hit by a car.
Joey?
Yeah.
When?
Last night, he was crossing Main Street, and his car came...
Well, how is he?
Oh, don't worry, he's all right. I just came from the hospital.
You've been there all night?
Yeah.
Now suppose you tell me, Mike, what the gimmick is in that. Put that on my desk, will you? I'm going over to the hospital. And send a photographer over there because I want to get a picture of Joey for tomorrow morning's page 1. Mike, I'm staying with it. We're going to fight this Main Street battle harder than ever. I'm going to stay with it all the way.
I've been putting together a dummy of that 4-page deal you want to start tomorrow. Now, how's anybody in their right mind going to pay money for a paper this size?
Well, I don't know what else we can do, Mike. Advertising's being canceled, circulation's shot. We haven't paid a bill for weeks. The campaign for the bypass is getting nowhere.
People are talking about it.
Talking about it, yes, but what are they doing? Nothing.
Maybe we can work out some kind of a gimmick.
Oh, gimmick. What we need is not a gimmick. What we need is cash. The way things stack up right now...
Circuit must be overloaded. The fuse is blown, huh?
Don't bother, Mike. We can't afford a new fuse.
What are you talking about?
The power bill.
$387.49.
And that's just about $300 more than we've got in the bank. Power company warned me, but I thought maybe we... Oh, Mike, we've had it. Well, that's what he said he'd do.
Yeah. I feel worse about that than anything.
Yeah, me too. Hank, Roxy, you might as well go home. Well, what do we do now?
Bill, we prayed to God for help. And the Bible says, all things work together for good to them that love God. Well, we love God. And, well, if this is his will, it's his will.
Read that again, Margaret.
No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon.
All right, kids, back to work.
The lights are back on.
Sure. All it takes is money.
You mean you went down
Come
there?
on, yeah, let's get back to work.
Wait a minute, Mike. Why did you do it?
Because I never could see in the dark.
You said the day your paycheck stopped, you were going to...
Yeah, I know. Well, I got an advance on my Social Security.
Come clean, Mike. Why?
You remember that Sunday morning I came down here and told you about Joey being in the hospital?
Yeah?
And I found you teaching the Bible to those kids?
Yeah?
Well, I began to learn then that you're the kind of a guy that does things without a gimmick, if you really believe in it. I really got hep after I found out about you turning down that offer of Mason's for 25 grand.
You knew about that. Now, how did you find...
Well, I know about a lot of things. I know you're more concerned with the welfare of this town than your own. Of course, you could have taken that bribe and been on Easy Street, but you decided to fight it out even though the odds were against you. You know, I've always been a sucker for a guy with a lot of guts, Bill. So I'm going to stick it out, paycheck or no paycheck.
Mike, you're wonderful.
Yeah, well, never mind about that. Because I've got a gimmick here, and I've got an idea here that might just put this bypass deal of yours over. Now get this, you fellows. Here's a chance to get in and pitch for Bill Adams. We want a paper in the hands of everybody in town, but we want them to read it, you understand? Now, don't sell it. Give it to them if you have to. But stand over them. Beat them on the head. Make sure that they read it. Now, get going and don't come back till you run out of papers. Well, I guarantee you that's going to be the best spread issue you ever put out.
And the strangest one. Nothing but accident pictures and an editorial saying this is why the bypass has to be built. Tell me something, Mike. Where'd you get the idea for that headline?
Oh, something I read somewhere.
Free paper, mister?
Thou shalt not kill.
Paper, mister?
Yes, we hope to continue along the same lines.
Yes, thank you
Well,
very
thank you very much, sir, for calling. Margaret, that idea of Mike's has certainly stirred up this town. We've had nothing but phone calls all morning.
Got some new subscriptions, too, honey.
We're gonna win this fight. We're gonna win.
We went to the right place for help, Bill. To God. Mike didn't look like one of God's angels, but he was.
He certainly was. Greenwood Herald. Well, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, we have some advertising space left for tomorrow. Yes, sir. We're on our way. Here, I can take your copy right over the phone. Okay. Big furniture sale.
Remarkable. All this in 2 years. You've done a good job, Bill.
Well, thank you, Mr. Todd. We've had some hard knocks, but I think you can see from the advertising that we're now in pretty good shape financially.
Yes, I noticed Mr. Mason is advertising in the Herald again. I'll take my hat off to you.
Well, I just took your advice, Mr. Todd.
What was that?
You told me that an editor should run his paper with a dictionary in one hand and the Bible in the other.
Judging by some of the copy that I corrected, that dictionary wasn't used very much. But that Bible was sure opened a lot. Bill, give me an okay on this, will you?
Yeah.
You know, it's good to see a Christian at work, serving God and serving his community.
Well, I found that's the only way I could run the paper.
That's the best way to run a paper. And to run your own life, too. I'm sure when the great editor-in-chief goes to press with your final edition, Bill, you'll have a well-earned byline in it.
This is the Answer is brought to you with a sincere desire that it will make a contribution to your spiritual life. And to this cause is dedicated to the glory of God. This booklet contains the Bible's answers to some of life's most perplexing questions. It will prove to be an invaluable guide to you as you seek to live a more abundant life. For your free copy, write to This is the Answer, Fort Worth, Texas. This is the Answer, Fort Worth, Texas. And now here's a preview of next week's presentation.
You won't. You can't.
Oh, what's the matter, Jeff?
I won't let you do this to Mom.
What are you talking about?
It's no good, Dad. I know.
Now, wait a minute, Jeff. That's not going to solve anything.
This series is being presented by the Baptist Churches of North America as a part of their Jubilee Advance celebration, heralding a heritage of 150 years of organized Baptist witness in America to the saving power of Christ.